Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Pulp Fiction. So Pulp Fiction came out in 1994 and was directed by Quentin Tarantino, and in this film we have different groups of characters and different storylines all happening at the same time which manage to intertwine with each other. So first of all we have a couple of hitmen who are played by Samuel Jackson and John Travolta. And these two hitmen, they work for a man named Marcellus Wallace, who is played by Ving Rhames. And then we also have Uma Thurman's character, who is Marcellus Wallace's wife. Then also, when this is happening, we have a couple played by Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer, who are trying to rob this diner. Then at the same time as that, we also have Bruce Willis's character, who refuses to take a dive in a fight and ends up going on the run with some money and his girlfriend. So the plot of this film is actually really interesting because all these different storylines are happening in a different order to what we see it when we are watching it in this film. And in fact, the first time that I watched this film, I was actually slightly confused because there was a scene where a character dies and then that character appears again in a later scene. And I was a bit confused. I was thinking, hang on a second, I thought that character died. But then I realised eventually, actually, the scene I was watching took place before the scene earlier on where the character died. So it all made sense in the end. When you watch this film, just bear in mind that the scenes happen in a different order as it appears on screen. So yeah, it may confuse you, but don't worry about it. Just try and enjoy the film. But really what makes this film work really well is the dialogue, because a lot of the scenes in this film are just these characters talking to each other, and what the characters are talking about is often just nonsense. It's often just a load of rubbish. So they might be talking about cheeseburgers and things like that, but it's amazing how interesting these conversations actually are when you're listening to them and when you're actually watching these scenes on screen. And this is what Tarantino has proven that he is very good at. He's very good with dialogue. He's very good with making conversations about anything sound interesting, even if it's something completely random. As you'll probably know, Quentin Tarantino went on to direct loads of other films after this, and before this he directed Reservoir Dogs. But this is often recognised as being his best film, and it's gone on to become a real cult classic, and it really paved the way for lots of other independent filmmakers. And yeah, this film has got a very good reputation and is a very beloved film by lots of people. Now, being a Quentin Tarantino film, I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that this film is very violent and it has lots of swearing and lots of racial slurs in it. And the sort of what Quentin Tarantino nowadays is really known for. And this was one of his earlier films, and this film really helped make his mark on the film industry. And I have to say, watching this film, I do really appreciate how good the acting is. So especially from actors like Samuel Jackson and John Travolta. In fact, John Travolta here, this really helped revive his career because his career was in a bit of a slump at the time when he wasn't doing very much, and then he came and helped make this film where he showed that he is obviously still a fantastic actor. And this film really helped give Samuel Jackson's career a big boost as well, because although Samuel Jackson had appeared in films like Jurassic Park and Goodfellas, this was really a film where he could really show what an amazing talent he is and how well he can act and what such a great presence he can have on screen. We also have an appearance by Harvey Keitel in this film, and he actually plays a really interesting character known as the Wolf, who helps sort things out for people. And although his appearance in this film is actually quite brief, he manages to really become a dominant force in this film and really be a standout character. So if I was to say anything bad about this film, I would particularly say that Quentin Tarantino actually appears as an actor in this film as well as being a director. And his screen time is actually quite limited. He isn't on it for very long, but in the small bits of dialogue he says, I don't really think he comes across as a terrific actor, especially because he's in the company of actors like Harvey Keitel, Samuel Jackson and John Travolta. Not saying he's a terrible actor, it's just that his delivery of some of the lines of dialogue that he has are just very flat and just don't really seem to fit with the tone of the rest of the film. But, you know, having said that, it's only a small scene. I can sort of accept it. And obviously Tarantino, being a fantastic director who made this film, I guess we have to forgive him for that. One of the more interesting things about this film is there's this object called a suitcase. And when you're watching it, you're going to be wondering throughout this film what is in this suitcase. And this is what is known as a MacGuffin, where it's something which we think is important to the plot, but actually it's not really important to the plot at all. But you'll have to watch it yourself to make up your mind. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have seen this film before. I've seen it quite a few times, and I think each time I've seen it, I think I've appreciated it a bit more. The first time I saw it, I was probably a bit too young to really appreciate it. I just saw it as a film with lots of swearing and just people trying to be cool by saying the F word every 5 seconds. And in some ways, I do sort of still see it like that now, but I also really appreciate what the characters are in this film and the way the story is told and the way these conversations are taking place in this film are just made so interesting, which is incredible when you think about what the conversations are actually like in this film. Now, obviously, this film is not going to appeal to everyone. As I said, it's very violent, it has lots of swearing, and yes, it's very much an adult film, so it's not a family film at all. But, you know, if you're a certain age, if you're old enough, then definitely give it a watch, and if it sounds like your kind of thing. And I would say if you like gangster films, I think you will probably like this, because this film, although it's not really a proper gangster film, it does certainly have that gangster feel to it, with the characters of Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield, who are John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson's characters. They do certainly have that hitman gangster feel to them, which certainly goes with the tone of the film. I have to say Pulp Fiction is an excellent film, definitely an excellent cult independent type film, and possibly my favourite Tarantino film, though I do also really like Reservoir Dogs, even though this film is much more famous. So I'm going to give Pulp Fiction a rating of 9 out of 10. I think it's well worth a watch. I think that most people probably should be able to appreciate it if they know what they're expecting, but you know, if this doesn't sound like your kind of thing, then that's fair enough. As I said, it's not a family film, so not one to watch with the kids, but definitely one to check out if you get a chance. So there we go. So that is my review of Pulp Fiction. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Pulp Fiction? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.